Good morning. I'm Cynthia Barnhart, and as Chancellor of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, it is my privilege to welcome you to the annual ceremony for the investiture of doctoral hoods. It is an honor for us to be joined today by our guest speaker, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, from whom we will hear in a few minutes. And as you see on the banners behind us, we are welcoming many other alumni back to campus, namely the 50-year class, the 25-year class, and others who are returning to their Cambridge home for reunions this weekend. To our doctoral candidates, congratulations. This is the first of two major celebrations to honor your accomplishments. This morning, we invest you with your academic hood. Tomorrow, you receive your diploma during the commencement exercises. Both events celebrate your journey to achieving the highest level of scholarship. As doctors of philosophy and doctors of science, you are now among the select group of men and women who are full-fledged lifetime members of the Academy. And you are now the colleagues of the faculty who are gathered here to witness your transition from students to the Academy. Earning a doctoral degree from MIT requires the unique application of your mind, hand, and perhaps above all, your heart to solving humanity's most pressing challenges or pushing back the frontiers of knowledge. It demands that you be dogged in your pursuits, and it is a test of character that requires profound intellectual curiosity, boundless passion, and true grit. Undoubtedly, along your road to today's celebration, you pursued lines of inquiry that led nowhere and forced you to start over. You persevered through uncertainty and disappointment, but by sticking it out, you experienced the exhilaration of discovery, invention, and contribution. You have every reason to be proud, to be relieved, and to be filled with the joyful combination of hope and possibility. From here, you can go in any direction you choose. Wherever you take your degree, I am confident that the same community who helped you get this far will continue to lift you up and root for you in your next chapter. This community is seated all around you today. It is made up of the family, teachers, and friends who offered you their unwavering support throughout every leg of your journey. They are the people who saw you through your research, your dissertation, and your defense. They served as your sounding boards, your cheerleaders, and I'm sure your safe harbors when the waters were choppy. They treated you gently when the work was not going great, and they shared your elation when, at last, it did. Today, your exceptional achievement is shared by every individual who has loved and supported you. Graduates, please rise and join me in recognizing your community of loved ones and mentors with a resounding thank you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is recognized the world over for her leadership on economic development, international organizations, and the future of Africa. From her service as Minister of Finance of Nigeria and Coordinating Minister for the Economy to her tenure as the Managing Director of the World Bank, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala has headed many of the world's largest economies and put countries on stabilizing paths towards economic recovery and growth. A scholar and a humanitarian, she holds 2 degrees from MIT. including a PhD in regional economics and development. And Dr. Okunjo Iweala has expertly applied her knowledge and her compassion to solving complex international challenges, from food to climate to public health. As we look outward today to life beyond MIT, we are thrilled that she is here to share her vision of service to the world with us. Dr. Okunjo Iweala.
Thank you very much, Chancellor Bernhardt, and good morning, everybody. I hope you can see me. I'm not very tall. So I'm honored to be your guest speaker at today's investiture of doctoral hoods. There are two things I want to say. I know I shouldn't talk too long because I stand between you and your hoods, so bear with me. The second thing is that I just love the silver gray. We didn't have that when I graduated. So my first request to Chancellor Bernhardt is, can I have one too? I want to extend my gratitude to you, Chancellor, to President Rife, to Chancellor for Academic Advancement, Professor Eric Grimson, for inviting me. My thanks also go to the Executive Director, Institute Events, Gail Gallagher, and her team, for all the arrangements to get me and my husband here. I congratulate the parents, the loved ones. I know what you all went through because I know what my loved ones went through when I was doing my degree. Students, graduating students and faculty and staff, all of you, congratulations on the occasion of this 150th commencement of MIT. It's a pleasure to be back home here in Cambridge, where I spent many of my formative years. I earned my bachelor's down the road from here and decided to just move up a few miles to do my master's and doctorate. For one reason, when I came to MIT, I applied to both Harvard and MIT for graduate school. But when I went to Harvard, and I hope all the Harvard people here will forgive me, you know, I needed some financial assistance, and I was ready to be a researcher, graduate, and the answer they gave me is, oh, we don't really think we can find anything. I went to MIT and went to the Office for Foreign Students. I don't know if they still have it, for international students. And they said to me, international students are the best students we have. When we lend them money, they always pay back. Once we admit you, we will never let you down. And I was sold. I immediately signed on to MIT. So I'm very, very proud. I'm very proud to be associated with this institution, proud to be from DOSP. DOSP, I give you a shout out. And I continue to be amazed at what a trailblazer this institution is. While I was traveling a few weeks ago, I tuned into BBC in my hotel room, and the first story I saw was a story about a team of MIT engineers who are changing the way we think about travel. The team is developing a pod designed to travel at extremely high speeds through levitation technology, which is really amazing. I don't know if any of them are here in this room. But thank you. It made me feel very good about my institution. Well, I'm sure all of you have had great experiences doing the doctoral program. And you've heard me say I had a wonderful 4 years here. But getting the PhD was not easy. In fact, parts of it were actually quite painful, and I cried a lot. I remember in particular proudly writing the first chapter of my dissertation and submitting it to my supervisor, Professor Alan Strout, with this satisfied feeling that, well, I'm finally on my way to cracking this thing. My data analysis is going well, and in those days we were using something called SPSS, which I'm sure doesn't exist. And I'm actually writing. I turned in my chapter on a Tuesday, and my supervisor said he would go through it and we should discuss it on Friday. So on Friday, quite confident, I bounced along to his office mid-morning. He asked me to sit down. I sat down, and he handed me the chapter with some sentences scribbled across the top. It said, quote, "This work is below standard. quite unlike your work, and certainly not what we can accept for a doctoral dissertation. I read those sentences and I froze. Then I stammered, I don't understand. And Alan Strout, bless his soul, said, go away, reflect on the comments over the weekend, and come back on Monday, and we'll discuss what to do next. You can imagine I went away shattered, believing I would never get my degree. I came all this way from Nigeria, having done my degree at Harvard, and I wasn't going to get my PhD. I cried all weekend, called one or two friends and my aunt to cry on their shoulder. I didn't dare tell my parents, both of whom were retired academics. And then I had to ginger myself up because I had a ticking package that I was carrying. I had a baby due in 8 months from then. And I knew I had to finish this dissertation before this baby was born, or maybe I would never finish it, because I didn't know how motherhood was going to turn out. So I decided I had to go back with a good attitude. So on Monday, I went back determined to find out what I had done wrong and to correct it. The rest is history. With the support of my thesis committee, Alan Strout, Lloyd Rodwin, who is no longer with us, Karen Polensky, encouragement from DOSP and the community at MIT, I was able to make it and defend my dissertation 3 weeks before my due date of March 12, 1981. I actually think they let me go because they didn't want the baby to drop in front of them. As I'm sure many of you have learned, a doctoral degree from MIT gives you a certain branding. It comes with the expectation you'll be smart, analytical, nerdy, good with numbers, good character, and a leader. It confers attributes that many of us have, as well as attributes that we may not have. And from my own personal experience, I can say that it confers a certain confidence in how to approach problems. And when people look at you, they feel a certain confidence that you'll approach the problem well. I often tell myself when confronted with thorny issues, quote, if I made it out of MIT, these are my own words I say in my head, if I made it out of MIT with this degree, surely I have the ability to figure out how to solve this problem. I didn't really set out as such to be a development expert or a finance minister of my country. I was preparing to be an academic like my parents. But my doctoral degree and training here equipped me to excel in these other positions, according to the judgment of others. And I use that excel with care, because most times I spend my time worrying about the next problem, not really whether I've done well or not. But working towards my degree gave me the analytical, intellectual, and leadership skills to pursue a career in development and public policy with confidence. Whether you're a student in the natural sciences, engineering, social sciences, or humanities, what you get from this doctoral degree, in my view, is the essential combination of a questioning mind, Chancellor Bernhardt said it, questioning mind, problem-solving skills, and analytical capability, along with the passion to solve the problem. And then if you're lucky, you also combine it with leadership skills that can enable you to confront today's global problems head-on and devise the means to solve them. The world's best academics, educators, researchers, leaders, public policy experts, engineers, philanthropists, activists, Nobel Prize winners, and MacArthur geniuses are all here today. And this institution has equipped you all to solve some of the toughest challenges facing our world. I just implore you that when you do begin to solve these and you become the next multi-millionaire or billionaire, you don't forget my words today, and you remember me. Call me for a share of that company. So what are these challenges and how do we confront them? What has been my own experience? I just want to talk to you today about being the next problem solvers. Our world today is facing a series of complex challenges which will require a diverse set of skills to confront them. And I can't think of another institution that can equip you better for that. One of the complex challenges we face today is a fundamentally weak global economic environment that is yet to shake off the shackles of the 2008-2009 global economic crisis. The International Monetary Fund has, over the past year, revised downwards its global growth forecast, which now stand at 3.2% in 2016, the same level as last year. While the US economy is showing some signs of recovery, this is fragile. Most advanced economies are projected to grow below 2% this year, while emerging economies like China and Brazil, which had provided over 50% of global growth, are now showing signs of great vulnerability. So we see increased financial market volatility. We see low and volatile commodity prices, which are creating fiscal challenges in natural resource-dependent economies like mine in Nigeria, like Russia, Venezuela, where there are emerging food riots, Saudi Arabia, and other countries around the globe. Closely linked to the economic challenges are the problems of inequality. The gap between the rich and poor is widening, with the rich getting richer and the poor not doing so well, the middle class also being left behind. Recent global economic growth has disproportionately benefited high-income groups. This is shaping politics and political outcomes in places as diverse as the USA, Brazil, Philippines, and further afield. Oxfam recently reported that the richest 1% have seen their share of global wealth increase from 44% in 2009 to more than 50% by 2015. So while in 2010 it took 388 billionaires to own as much wealth as the bottom 3.5 billion people in the world, it now takes only 62 of the richest people to equate the wealth of the bottom 3.5 billion. This rising inequality is also harmful to global growth. Knocking off several percentage points of cumulative growth between 1990 and 2010, according to the OECD. Third, the consequences of climate change and global warming are becoming more prevalent. In the words of President Barack Obama, quote, "There is one issue that will define the contours of this century more dramatically than any other, and that is the urgent threat of a changing climate," unquote. According to the latest report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the Earth's temperature is rising, with records being broken almost on an annual basis. While some countries are ravaged by dangerous flooding, or parts of countries, other parts of the world, like India today, are scorched by heat waves. And climate change will mean more extreme and frequent weather events. Africa is facing one of its worst droughts in history as a result of the El Niño phenomenon. Fourth, and closely related, managing our planet's water resources presents one of the most important challenges of our time. As you know, a few people have actually gone ahead to predict that the next big wars will be fought over water. At the moment, more than 1 billion people across the globe do not have access to clean water, and half of these are children, according to the United Nations. Each year, 3.5 million people die from water-related diseases, and each and every day, more than 4,000 children die of waterborne diseases, which are now the second leading cause of death for children under the age of 5. The United Nations predicts that by 2050, 1 in 4 people will live in a country affected by chronic or recurring shortages of fresh water. Fifth, our world is faced with an unprecedented number of health challenges. According to UNICEF, 16,000 children die each day from preventable and treatable diseases. As my own part of the world, West Africa, is still reeling from the devastating Ebola crisis, scientists are rushing to better understand the implications of the Zika virus. And the world continues to grapple with other deadly diseases like malaria, tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, cancer, etc. The rapid advancement of antimicrobial resistance, where microbes become immune to antibiotic drugs, presents a deadly global health crisis with significant human and economic costs. In a serious warning, David Cameron, the UK Prime Minister, said, quote, "If we fail to act, we are looking at an almost unthinkable scenario where antibiotics no longer work and we are cast back into the dark ages of medicine," unquote. To confront these challenges, and I've just named a few, the world needs cutting-edge research to develop new drugs and vaccines and innovative technologies to diagnose medical issues, as well as new thinking on preparedness for future pandemics. 6, the world is undergoing rapid urbanization. As of 2015, for the first time in history, more than half of the world's population lived in cities. By 2030, the population of the world's urban areas will be close to 5 billion. And most strikingly, almost all of the urban growth will take place in developing countries. Urbanization presents untapped economic opportunities, but the rapid pace also poses threats to the availability of water, food, energy, and basic services. The world needs talented urban planners, architects, engineers, community organizers to help ensure our growing cities are livable, resilient, green, healthy, and thriving. I could go on with listing the challenges, but my aim is not really to depress us. My aim is to point out to you that there are real opportunities, because every challenge presents an opportunity. So what I want to say to you is that if you have the passion, you really need not fear for a job or a mission. There's so much to do. And if no one will employ you, become an innovator. Create your own pathways to solve these problems listed, and then employ other people and use them to change the world. But I believe that the global challenges we face are also receiving the right attention. World leaders, maybe not enough, but at least people are paying attention. World leaders from nearly 200 countries have just recently committed to the historical Treaty on Climate Change, which includes a target to try and limit global temperatures to well below 2 degrees and even 1.5 degrees centigrade, so as to protect the most vulnerable and low-lying islands in the world. In January 2016, the UN Sustainable Development Goals became applicable as a focal and universal point for governments to hinge their policies to end hunger, poverty, and a host of other social development goals. I know some people may be cynical about this, and of course I may be biased because I served on the Secretary General's high-level panel to develop these goals. But I'm hopeful because for the first time, the whole world is gathering around a set of goals and trying to use them as the central pillar for solving problems. No one can say that they've achieved everything where it comes to gender parity. Nobody can say they have no poverty or hunger in their countries. This time, it's not just about goals that affect the developing world. It's about goals that affect anyone. And I believe we can use them as an organizing principle to solve world problems. I'm also proud that on some of these problems, there are people organizing to do things. Institutions are doing that. On pandemics, the World Bank, the WHO have all announced initiatives. And I'm proud to say that Gavi, the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, another organization whose board I chair, has used the innovative advanced market commitment mechanism to engage with Merck to stockpile 300,000 doses of Ebola vaccine to prepare for the next outbreak. Now, addressing these interconnected challenges is a continuous process that will require multidisciplinary approaches and people from diverse backgrounds and experiences to apply varied skills. I know that here at MIT, several of you graduating today are involved, along with the faculty, in the types of work I mentioned earlier. I know you're applying your research and problem-solving skills to the type of global challenges confronting us today. I'm sure you have taken Duke Ellington's words seriously, where he says, quote, "A problem is a chance for you to do your best." My own MIT experience gave me the basis to think through and solve uncommon problems. I'll just share 2 quick examples. The first was when I was at the World Bank, and I was country director for some East Asian countries, including Malaysia. This was during the 1997-99 East Asian economic crisis, for those who remember that. This crisis sent shock waves around the globe. World leaders feared a meltdown as a result of the Asian contagion. The crisis started in Thailand with the collapse of the country's currency, the baht. Ripple effects or contagion spread through the region. In neighboring Malaysia, the ringgit lost close to half its value by the end of 1997. The Malaysians under Prime Minister Mahathir were desperate that their hard-won development, achieved over 2 or 3 decades, was about to be lost and the country thrust back into poverty. The orthodox approaches to solving their problems did not seem to be working, and they sought what was at the time considered an unorthodox approach by the economists at the World Bank and the IMF. They wanted to introduce capital controls to stem the capital flight that was pulling the ringgit down and bringing the economy to its knees. But this was not acceptable within the institutions where I worked. As a country director, I did my homework. I looked at the problem. I looked at the solutions we were offering. And with my country economists, we came to the conclusion that we at the World Bank and at the IMF were wrong in what we were prescribing. But how would I, a country director, still low down in the hierarchy, be able to convince all these other people, these worthy economists, that what we were doing was not right? News had already seeped out that this crazy country director was supporting the Malaysians in what they were proposing, and I was getting into trouble. But we were able to do something because my country economist and I got hold of Joe Stiglitz, then chief economist of the World Bank, and convinced him of what we were saying. And when convinced, he took up the cause, defended us up and down the hierarchy, and we prevailed. We were able to support the Malaysians to do what was the right thing to solve the problem. This episode is well documented in his famous book, Globalization and Its Discontents. If you open it, you'll actually see "Thanks to Me." So I urge you to open it. So this was one case in which the usual answers just didn't work. But using the problem-solving abilities I got from here, I did my own thinking and decided that the country was right and we should support them in what they were doing to solve the problem by unorthodox means. My second example is from my work as finance minister in Nigeria, 2 episodes between 2003 and 2006, and again from 2011 to 2015, both very tough times, but the last 4 years extremely tough. One of the things we were confronting was the problem of revenue leakages due to corruption. The corruption arose partly from the absence of institutions, systems, and processes to manage our finances. Whilst the greatest attention was being paid to the need to capture the people perpetrating the corruption, which is very important, I thought it was also fundamental to look at the root causes. In this particular case, we did that. And we found, for instance, that one of the things in 2003 when I started was the degree of uncertainty, for instance, on just how many people were working for the government. No one could give me an answer on the number of people working in public service. This is rather fundamental if you're a finance minister. But this phenomenon left room for a pernicious thing, I'll call it a thing, of top civil servants and others inserting fictitious names into the payroll and collecting their salaries and pensions. We call the phenomenon, this corrupt phenomenon, the phenomenon of ghost workers and ghost pensioners, because they did it for pensions too. And mark you, some ghost workers even graduated to become ghost pensioners. To curb this problem, we had to think deeply of what to do and came up with the idea of introducing the use of technology through an integrated personnel and payroll management system with biometrics. So everybody employed by government had to have their biometrics done. This system led to the elimination of 62,893 ghost workers by the time I left office in 2015, saving the government about $1.1 billion in fraudulent expenditures. And we had not done with all the ministries. Even as I speak today, the new government is still detecting ghost workers in those ministries we had not done. We coupled what we did with a government-integrated financial management system and a treasury single account so that electronically we could transfer money from one department to the other, and then I could have an overview as finance minister of most of our accounts. These were things done to put in place systems, processes, institutions. I always say that there's not much difference between people in the developed world and people in the developing. If people in the developed world have open systems, they also will be corrupt, or some anyway. Because of the absence of these institutions, the absence of that ability to solve our problem, our corruption is much larger as a problem than it need be. So what we did yielded dividends for the government, and there were many other reforms that I tried to apply the problem-solving ability that I learned here too. One of them including trying to weed out fraudulent oil marketers in our oil subsidy scheme. All of them resulted in winners and losers, but some resulted in very sore losers. And in the case of the oil marketers, they were so sore that they kidnapped my mother for 5 days, my 83-year-old mother, some of the worst days of my life. And I can say that even the PhD's problem solving that I learned couldn't help me with that one. So there are a few times and places where you have to call on other means to put them together with what you've got here to be able to wade through problems. But to make my point, last remark on this, and get back to the point, what I found in my career was that many times there are no ready-made solutions for the problems you confront. And that the only way through is the ability to ask the right questions. Get the right team together to work with you to help you solve them. Be fearless. Don't be afraid to fail and try again. As Chancellor Barnhart was saying, there were certainly many times we didn't get it right, but we were not afraid to try again. And above all, don't let the losers discourage you in whatever you do. So graduates, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I just hope I've been able to illustrate to you how this degree, this institution, has helped shape my life, and through me, the lives of others. I hope this and more is what it will, can, and will do for you in the future. I hope you use that problem-solving capability, that passion, to the greatest advantage of mankind. And I want to end my words today by quoting President John F. Kennedy. He said, quote, "Never before has man had such a great capacity to control his own environment," and I hasten to add woman, "to end poverty, hunger, disease, to banish illiteracy and human misery. We have the power to make the best generation of mankind in the history of the world. I strongly believe that you here in this room have the power. So please, get up, get your hoods, get out of this room, make the change." I congratulate you all.
Thank you, Dr. Okunjo-Iweala, for your inspiring words and your call to service. So now on to the ceremony. In conferring hoods today and diplomas tomorrow, the faculty of this institution recognizes the achievement of MIT doctoral candidates and welcomes them as peers. And they know well What a remarkable circle they join. Our readers today are Senior Associate Dean for Graduate Education, Blanche Staten, and Ms. Monica Lee of the Department of Facilities. A faculty member from each department will assist me in hooting of degree candidates from their respective departments. The faculty members serving as marshals of the students will assist them in proceeding to the stage and in reclaiming their seats.
Good morning. You will find the order of presentation listed in your program. Each degree candidate will be invested with a hood by the chancellor and a faculty member from their department. The academic hood is a symbol of dedication to scholarship and the attainment of the requirements defined by the Academy. We are proud to introduce to you 481 of MIT's newest scholars, those who have earned the right to wear this symbol and to join the ranks of their colleagues worldwide. We will now invest the candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Science and Doctor of Philosophy with their hoods. In the School of Architecture and Planning, representing the Department of Architecture, assisting Chancellor Cynthia Barnhart, is Professor J. Mi-Jin Yoon, Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, David H. Blum. Honor Y. Gun. Ana Maria Leon Crespo. Ju Hong Park. Daniel Rosenberg. Daniel J. Smithwick II. Stephanie M. Turk. Representing the Department of Urban Studies and Planning, Professor Aran Ben Joseph, Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Maria Victoria del Campo. Kelly H. Dunning. Kian Go. Shan Jiang. Christopher Michael Jones. David Lee. Krista R. Lee Chuvala. Todd E. Shank. Representing the program in Media Arts and Sciences, Professor Patricia Mays, Program Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Yadid Eisenberg. Eve Alexandra de Montjoy. Javier Hernandez Rivera. Daniel Leithinger. Arthur J. Patron. Akane Sano. David Mornena Senge. Roy Skilkrut. Giovanni Tale Francesi. Tiffany Sang. In the School of Engineering, representing the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, Professor El Fatih El Tahir, Associate Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Muhannad Abu Hikal. Justin G. Chen. Sardar Cholak. Amar Daria. Elizabeth M. Follett. Adam J. Friedman. Yana Marjanovic. Stephen P. Morgan. Benjamin P. Scandella. In Wang. Yishen Yuan. Representing the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Professor Gang Chen, Department Head. Doctor of Science, Andres K. Valenzuela. Doctor of Philosophy, Subarna Basnet. David M. Bernie Needleman. Riley E. Brandt. Sergio Castellanos Rodriguez. Rupak Chakraborty. Godan Kok Yan Chan. Shreya H. Dave. Alap S. Dige. Francisco Alonso Dominguez Espinosa. Jeff E. Dusek. Dylan C. Erb. Nikhil Galagali. Sason Gayam Saidi. Daniel F. Hanks. Ahmed H. Halal. Fareh Aranch Herver. Wei Chun She. Chukwuike Iloeje. Young Suk Jo. Douglas E. Jonard. Nargis Kania. Matthew T. Klug. Daniel Kramer. David G. Kwabi. Benjamin Lai. Bolin Leo. Che Yen Ling. Yi Liu. Enrique Lizarraga Garcia. Sri Venkata Tapawan Lola. Maria N. Lokianova. Luke M. Mooney. Ashley E. Morishige. Catherine M. Ong. Brian S. Pearson. Jing Kachu. Juan Felipe Rodriguez Bueno. Alicia R. Shore. Amelia T. Servi. Alicia J. Shu. Joshua E. Siegel. Brian R. Solomon. Stephanie C. Steele. Ite Y. Stein. Sofian Tamala. Gregor Takish. Jonathan K. Tong. James Torres. Jianjian Wang. Daniel P. Weiss. Kyle L. Warner. Tyler D. Wortman. Kofi Pierre C. Yao. Shizhen Yong. Representing the Department of Material Science and Engineering, Professor Christopher A. Hsu, Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Assis Abdullahi. Brian R. Albert. Wubin Bay. Nilkanth M. Bardan. Junsi Chang. Richie Chen. Chiahao M. Chuang. Zachary Cordero. Samuel R. Cross. Michael A. Gibson. Bing Hong Han. Wesley T. Hong. Chong Ho. Sasha T. Huang. Ryan Yutzi. Alan G. H. Kim. Sangtae Kim. Aravind Krishnamurthy. Akira Kudo. Alan Lee. Jinhyuk Lee. Sungjin Lee. Ian L. Matz. Timothy J. Malakovich. Neil S. Patel. Brian L. Spataka. Kelsey A. Storzinger. Wenhao Sun. Jeffrey J. Supran. Swathi R. Vashni. Yusang S. Yang. Wen Sheng. Representing the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, Professor Anantha P. Chandrakasan, Department Head. Doctor of Science, David B. Cole. Doctor of Philosophy, Haytham Z. Al-Hassani. Robert C. Schuler. Amar T. Amar. Georgios Angelopoulos. Matthew G. Angle. Bishoy W. Barr. Giancarlo Baldan. Arijit Banerjee. Nathan Z. Beckman. Flavieux D. Coman. Iti Chatnun Tawat. Alvin K. Chung. Egapon Chuangsuanet. John S. Donnell. Bruno G. Duval. Kimon Dracopoulos. Zoran Junic. Matthew D. Edwards. Jorge Elizondo Martinez. Wenjing Fang. Niaja N. Favre. Diego F. Ferrer Rovira. Christopher W. Fletcher. Stephen A. Guerrera. William C. Hasenplau. Tatsunori B. Hashimoto. Ching He. Charles H. Herder III. Dawson Huang. Werda Enam. Gauri Joshi. Insuk Kang. Juho Kim. Peter R. Krogan. Nathaniel A. Cushman. Tariq A. Lalu. John H. Lee. Lujo Lee. William P. Lee. Yensing Lee. Chongyu Lim. Joseph J. Lim. Seongbom Lin. Jonathan P. Mailoa. Anirudh Majumdar. Vahid Montazir Hojat. Jin Young Moon. Jacob Mauer. Scott L. Page. Arun Pedimari. Michael Y. Peng. Ujjval Radhakrishna. Lisan Shi. Dong-ik Shen. Stephen H. Shum. Hao Wei Su. Swarun Kumar Suresh Kumar. Paul W. Tilburg. Muralitharan Vajayaragawan. Loksang El Wong. Gilad Yahalam. Jean Young. Angela Yin. Tao Yu. Weifei Zheng. Alexander Zlateski. Representing the Department of Chemical Engineering, Professor Paula Hammond, Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Dong Suk Chang. Yo-Ching Sui. Connie Gao. Matthew J. Glassman. Vivian Shea. Sean T. Hunt. Justin A. Kleingartner. Seta C. Lai. Christopher N. Lam. Shefali Lathwal. Timothy M. Lauer. Jitsong Lee. Rosanna M. Lim. Helen Y. Luo. Catherine F. Moss. Sally G. Mahajan. Juha Min. Mark C. Molaro. Christopher B. Renner. Sven Schlumberger. Andrew M. Silverman. Kristen J. Vicari. Yuran Wang. Nopan Wiran Nopanen. Ji-Sam Wong. Representing the Department of Aeronautics and Astronautics, Professor Jaime Pereira, Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Sergio D. Amaral. Akshay Ashok. Patrick J. Blonigan. Abhigna Buchababu. Fabio Caiazzo. George A. Christo. Chase S. Kaufman. Benjamin A. Corbin. Sydney Doe. Matthew E. Fitzgerald. Raquel C. Galvan Garza. Gwendolyn V. Getliff. Xuan Huan. Jiong Wan Jeong. Ryan W. Kingsbury. Andy Marinan. Kento Masuyama. Daniel R. Montz. Marzia Parandagebi. Sung Uk Pak. Now, Marzia Parandagebi. Michael C. Pasquale. Carla Sofia Perez Martinez. Sathya S. Silva. Philip J. Wolf.
Representing the Department of Biological Engineering, Associate Professor Forrest M. White. Doctor of Science, Deepak Mishra. Doctor of Philosophy, Jennifer A. Brophy. Isaac A. Hayim. Paul H. Lebesny. Carrie M. Margulies. Leila Perhaji. Sarah B. Schreier. Jorge L. Valdez Macias. Jennifer L. Wilson. Lidan Wu. Representing the Department of Nuclear Science and Engineering, Professor Dennis White, Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Chi Gao. Nathan A. Gibson. John P. Hansen. Masashi Hirose. Giancarlo Lenci. Franco J. Mangiarotti. Zhi Wang. Representing the program in Computational and Systems Biology, Professor Christopher B. Burge. Doctor of Philosophy, Kelly P. Brock. Christopher S. Smiley. Thomas F. Willems. Shizong Xie. Representing the Engineering Systems Division, Professor Munter A. Dale, Director. Doctor of Philosophy, Arzum E. Akash. Ross D. Collins. Ellen G. Chaika. Fei Gao. Jonathan S. Crones. Paul A. Latour. Vivek A. Sakrani. William E. Young, Jr. Representing the program in Health Sciences and Technology, Professor Roger Mark. Doctor of Philosophy, Jesse M. Engreets. Daniel B. Goodman. Melissa A. Jimrek. Nathan S. Hasley. Dustin P. Kendrick. Rory D. Kirchner. Mia Cuneo. Matthew Lee. Yun Liu. Golbarg Mahrai. Nuria Oliva Jorge. Duvina L. Ong. Mina Siddiqui. Laura M. Tannenbaum. Andrew D. Warren. Bo Ju. In the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences, representing the Department of Economics, Professor Whitney K. Newey, Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Tommaso Denti. Javier Garcia Arenas. Ludovica A. Gassé. Kyle A. Greenberg. Maria Flavia Harari. Sara Hernandez Saborit. Sally L. Hudson. Reshma N. Hassam. Gaston Illanes. Sarah N. Mosheri. Amaya Moulay. Giovanni Reggiani. Pasquale Restrepo. Natalia Rigol. Rodrigo Rodriguez Adao. Matthew J. Ronley. Ashish Shenoy. Maheshwar Shrestha. Jajanir H. Silva. Melanie S. Wasserman. Yufei Wah. Representing the Department of Political Science, Professor Barry Posen. Doctor of Philosophy, Christopher O. Clary. Jeremy A. Ferwerda. Kelly A. Greco. Yue Hu. Yi Ching Chu. Representing the Department of Linguistics and Philosophy, Professor David Pisetsky, Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Gretchen Kern. Koppe van Urk. Representing the program in Science, Technology, and Society, Professor David Kaiser. Doctor of Philosophy, Lan A. Lee. Janai Özden Schilling. Thomas C. Özden Schilling. In the Sloan School of Management, representing the Sloan School of Management, Professor Ezra Zuckerman Sivan, Deputy Dean. Doctor of Philosophy, Maria Fernando Bravo Plaza. Santiago Campero. Julia M. Di Benigno. Tianjo Duan. Daniel C. Fader. Jae Kyung Ha. Yiftak Nagar. Abhishek Nagraj. Un-hee Son. Richard T. Thakur. Representing the program in Operations Research, Professor Patrick Jaillet. Doctor of Philosophy, Demetrios Bissaias. Maxime C. Cohen. Ian R. Dunning. Velibor Misik. Peng Shi. John M. Silberholtz. Natalie Youssef. In the School of Science, representing the Department of Chemistry, Professor Timothy Jameson, Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Joseph M. Azzarelli. Darren O. Belisario. Pum Chairatana. Hung Chen. Harita Reddy Chileveru. Joseph S. Elias. Gregory D. Gutierrez. Tamara Halkina. Victoria Hung. Michael Huan. Hongik Huang. Yangsu Zhong. Stephanie S. Lam. Minyuen M. Lee. Sophie Liu. Waijin Ken Leon Lo. Venita Lucas. Michael G. Mavros. Anna J. Mork. Benjamin K. Ofori Okai. Amy E. Rabideau. Kanchana Ravichandran. Paula Ruiz Castillo Rojas. Jennifer M. Shear. Colby P. Steiner. Sarah Z. Tasker. Samuel W. Teitelbaum. Peter D. Till. David G. Vese. Tuo Wong. Matthew G. Wellborn. Young Young. Alexander V. Zuhovitsky. Representing the Department of Biology, Associate Professor Amy Keating. Doctor of Philosophy, Jessica L. Alexander. Eric H. Bent. Bigyan R. Bista. Eleanor R. Cameron. Pon Yu Chen. Diana M. Chen. Andres F. Cubillos Ruiz. Daniel B. Dayton. Talia L. Dayton. Jasmine M. DeCock. Caitlin B. Driscoll. Paul A. Fields. Genevieve M. Gould. Courtney K. Jean-Baptiste. Holly L. Johnson. Kevin E. Knockenauer. Kara L. McKinley. Joshua D. Meisel. Chandrani Mondal. Dalia E. Perez. Sarah J. Vow. Jacob R. Rubens. Lawrence D. Schweitzer. Eugene Serebrini. Benjamin J. Stein. Mark M. Stevens. Samina Tikau. Amaris Torres Delgado. Lilin Uchima. Claudia G. Vasquez. Representing the Department of Physics, Professor Peter H. Fisher, Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Keigo Arai. Kristen M. Beck. Adam D. Bookatz. Patrick R. Brown. Alexei Belinsky. Lu Feng. Dorian A. Gangloff. Fang Guo. Maxim V. Imakaev. Tomoki Usogai. Samuel B. Johnson. Chong Ma. Fahad Mahmood. Ian J. Molt. Ji Woo Park. Daniel V. Pilon. Daniel A. Roberts. Uchupol Ryansri. Matthew C. Schramm. Yichen Shin. Evelyn M. Tang. Mingming Yang. Representing the Department of Brain and Cognitive Sciences, Professor Matthew A. Wilson, Associate Department Head. Doctor of Philosophy, Stephen A. Alsop. Wilma A. Bainbridge. Rodrigo I. Garcia. Matthew J. Green. Philip J. Isola. Jose J. Hara Ettinger. Eitan S. Kaplan. Joseph B. Keller. Megan A. Crench. Kyle A. Mahowald. Nune Martiros. Pranith Namburi. Hong An E. Ni. Tatsuo Okubo. Rachel W. Schechter. Representing the Department of Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Sciences, Professor Timothy Grove. Doctor of Philosophy, Stephen J. Messenger. Alexandra L. Mitchell. Mirna I. Sleem. Elena A. Stepanidis. Haoyue Wong. Chun Chuan Yu. Representing the Department of Mathematics, Associate Professor Jonathan Kellner. Doctor of Philosophy, Yakov Burchenko Kogan. John R. Binder. Doran Boger. Jueyan Chang. Efrat Engel Shaposhnik. Ten Fei. Chiang Guang. Yin Tat Lee. Francesco Lin. Tihan H. Liu. Alexander C. Mole. Oren Ripple. Sean K. Simmons. Padmavati Srinivasan. Yi Sun. Dmitry Weintraub. Michael A. Viscardi. Neil Wadwa. Ray Shun Zhang. Representing the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, James A. Yoder, Vice President for Academic Programs and Dean, Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. Doctor of Philosophy, Harriet Alexander. René M. Boiteau. Jörn Kaye. Bethany R. Edwards. Helen S. Fang. Rebecca H. Jackson. Benjamin S. Linhoff. Nicholas B. McFarlane. Sophia T. Merrifield. Melissa Moulton. Jacob H. Nienhaus. Mara S. Oriskanen. Alejandra C. Ortiz. Jeanette D. Wheeler.
So in a moment, the stage assembly will recess, after which graduates may join their guests in the audience without further ceremony and escort them to the department receptions listed in your program. As we conclude the investiture of doctoral hoods, I now invite the faculty to join me in a salute to welcome this year's doctoral candidates to the Academy. Congratulations.